friends, and welcome to Sustainable Prepping, your home for fear-free emergency preparedness and a sustainable life. My name is Brecky. We are in Vlogmas, so I am bringing you so many behind-the-scenes bits and pieces of my life, and today I'm going to be doing a very exciting unboxing. I ordered myself the Presto digital canner, and I'm so excited. I think it's going to be changing my canning game. If you don't know, the Presto digital canner is a fully electric digital home canning device. It meets all the standards for the USDA home food preservation stuff. No, they don't approve anything, but it does meet their standards. And I'm super excited to get it because I think it's going to allow me to do a lot of small batch canning, and it arrived and I'm unboxing it today and I'm gonna take you along. Now we are in the middle of my very busy kitchen, but I wanted to show you the unboxing as it happens. I have not opened this yet. Here is a laminated quick start guide. Okay, here is the booklet, which I'm gonna be reading like basically cover to cover because that's what I do. Okay, the plate. If you're familiar with pressure canning, you'll recognize this. And now for the fun stuff. Okay, so here, let me bring you in. There is the digital canner all wrapped up. Very exciting, very exciting. So, ta-da! Here it is. I am going to go set this up on the counter and we will walk through it. I'm super excited because, like I said before, I do a lot of small batch canning, 2 jars, 4 jars, 6 jars at a time, not 12, 15. So getting my big canner, my stovetop canner out can be challenging. And with this one, it's gonna be more conducive for those smaller jar batches, as well as it's a little bit more of a hands-off approach. You don't have to babysit it quite as much. So I'm excited and I hope this is going to change my canning game. Okay, so this is my second pot of beans. I'm doing cannellini beans. I've done the quick soak method where this morning I put them in that pot and I did the 2-minute boil and then soak for over an hour because of time. Now I'm gonna be doing the 30 minutes of simmering. So once this gets up to a simmer, I will start 30 minutes and then I will take this out and then use the water to fill jars. So here is my trusty big jar of beans. I've had these on my shelves for over a year and I just want to can them up so they don't get too hard. So this will be my second round of experimenting with the new digital pressure canner. Looking pretty fly over here. It's very sexy. Look at that. These are the beans I did yesterday. You guys can see my messy kitchen. These are the black beans that I did yesterday. I only did 4 pints, in part because I just didn't do enough beans, but I wanted to do a small batch in case I messed something up. I wouldn't be wasting a ton of food. So that was my yesterday experiment. They look really good. I mean, they're very sealed. And I looked at Pam of Rose Red Homestead, and I will link her video when she talks about the digital canner. I watched her video on canning pinto beans, as well as whether or not things get in the kill zone. You absolutely need things to get in the kill zone to prevent botulism because it's a neurotoxin that will kill you. And she said that this does a really great job with beans. Nothing too thick. That's the takeaway. It needs to be viscous. It can't be too thick. So I'm feeling pretty confident about this guy. Okay, friends, so my cannellini beans have simmered. I'm taking a break from folding laundry. My cannellini beans have simmered, and I am going to jar them up into these pint jars. They are regular mouth, and I am going to be using layman lids. I haven't tried the 4 jars lids yet or the Golden Harvest, but that will probably be my next set of purchases for spring. So now we're gonna can these suckers up. I'm gonna jar them up, can them up, and I will show you how all of that is coming together. So one of the interesting, unique pieces of this digital canner, and I don't have any other ones, so I don't know what their system is that this wants you to actually preheat the jars first, and it puts you through a warming cycle. Now, I don't think you need to do that. These are hot jars, and I don't want to put these in right away because that's cold water. So I think I'm going to do is let it do its warming cycle with no jars maybe, or let these get to room temperature. I'm not really sure how to go about it because this is cold water in here, and those are hot jars. So this is a piece that I'm trying to figure out. It seems really inconvenient to have to heat up the jars and then dump out the water and then fill your jars and then put them back in. It just seems like an extra and unnecessary step. I will show you how I handle this. Last night, I ended up having to take a break, and these came down to room temperature, so it was fine to put them in the fill jar setting. So maybe I just run it through the warming setting and then put them in the warm water. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll show you how it goes. So if that is what I'm going to do, here is your lid. You have a fill line in here that you fill up. You put your lid on. You lock it. We take off. They actually want you to take this off even though it has vent settings. Not sure why that is. Then you put this down. This is the sensor that lets it know what the pressure and poundage is. You lock that in. Turn this. Oh, I got to plug it in. Okay, it says pressure can here. And so you are going to click the like play arrow, and you're going to give it the time in total that you're going to do. 75 for my pint beans. You don't have to worry about altitude. This does everything at 15 pounds of pressure. So, okay, insert jars. Now we're going to do the warming cycle. So if you had empty jars, you'd put the jars half full of water in here and they would warm them for you. Then you would take them out, dump them, and put your food in. I already have hot packed beans, so I didn't want to do that. So we're going to let it warm, and I will show you the next step. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but it now says fill jars. So it has gone from the warming cycle, and now it's in the fill jar cycle. So I'll move you up so you can see. I'm going to open this and take off the lid. I'm going to have to put this down to hold it. Now this water is hot. I don't know if you can see how steamy it is, but that water is hot. And according to the manufacturer instructions, you would be taking out jars and dumping hot water out of them and then filling them right now. We are just going to put hot jars into hot water. No big deal. Just 3 jars this time. So here's what it looks like. Just 3 jars. Okay. And now we're going to follow the quick start instructions. So we're going to put this back on and lock it. Close down the sensor and secure it in place. We're going to press this button, and that lets it know that we've filled our jars and it's going to begin heating. It's going to bring the temperature up, and it's going to beep at us when it's time to put this back on. So it's going to bring the pressure up. It's going to vent right here. When we put the regulator on, just like with a traditional pressure canner, we put this on, then it's going to build pressure. This is going to pop up as a safety, and then it's going to start the automatic time, and it's all digitally programmed inside the machine. So now we wait. All right, do you see that? This is venting. It's still on the heat, and it will vent for 10 minutes, and it will show up on here. I'm hoping to catch that moment, but look at that. You can see that venting. Aha, so there it is. You can see the steam, and now it says vent. And see, it's going to automatically vent for 10 minutes. You don't have to do anything. You just sort of set it and forget it until you have to put the regulator back on. Okay, do you see this? And you hear it? It's telling you, but it's done venting. And it's time to put the regulator cap on. Okay, there we go. So it is now set to can. I'm going to press that button. It is now ready. So I press this once. Now once it reaches pressure, it will can for 75 minutes. Now you might see that it's still venting here. This is the same as the safety valve, and it's going to eventually pop up, and that's when it's going to start really building pressure. So it is vented for, gosh, more than 10 minutes really. And the regulator is on the can setting. This is going to pop up. And then once that pops up, this display will start counting down. To show you, you can hear the difference. This has popped up, just like you would have a safety valve on an actual Presto canner, it still isn't counting down because it needs to come up to the correct pressure. That green piece up here is where there is the pressure gauge on the inside, the temperature gauge on the inside. So then it will eventually start counting down here and it will beep and let you know it's in a cool cycle. And I will show you all of that. Okay, do you hear that? It is letting you know that it is done and it is safe for you to open. And so you just hold this down. And now it is reset. And you can open this safely. Okay, undo that. Oh, gotta lift this. I always forget to do that. And there are our jars, and it's hot. So let me take them out and show you what is up. Okay, ooh, we already heard some pinging, and it has gone through a full cool down, so these should be just fine to take out. They are still boiling inside. They're very hot. But now we have, I don't know if you can quite see them, but now we've got 3 beautiful jars and they're boiling, and we will check these later. Just bring this right up here. It looks great. And I feel like this is gonna be an absolute game changer when it comes to small batch canning and getting new folks into canning. Whew, it has warmed up in my kitchen considerably with this pressure canner, but nothing like with a stovetop canner. This, I think, is just going to absolutely change the game, make canning easier. These are the beans that I canned last night. And I mean, that is sealed. That is, I am pulling on it, and it is definitely well sealed. So I think that this is going to be a way to get folks who are a little bit nervous about pressure canning, people who maybe don't want to have to babysit a stovetop canner, or who are only going to be canning 4 or 5 jars at a time, and they don't have gardens, so they're not putting in, 20 jars of produce at a time. I think that this could be a great way to get a lot more people doing home canning, a lot more people braving the work of doing home canning. Now, I do understand some anxiety about how do you trust that the machine is actually getting things up to par. That for me is the one big thing I don't like about this digital pressure canner, and I suspect it'd be all digital pressure canners. With a manual canner, I have a dial gauge, so I can watch that. And in my babysitting of the canner, I can ensure it's always hitting the right poundage, it's always staying in the right place, it's always up to temperature. And with a unit like this, you do have to trust the machine. You have to trust that the machine is doing what it needs to do. And that made me anxious until I watched the in-depth work that Pam over at Rose Red Homestead has done. She is a food scientist and has a lot of scientific machinery, and she has tested the Presto canner on several different foods, including pinto beans. And she said that it was way in the kill zone. It basically was overkill, kill zone for pinto beans, and that made me feel a lot more confident in using the machine. Would I love to have some kind of internal pressure gauge where you could watch it? You could have some kind of third-party way of monitoring it? Yes, but I do trust Presto. I do trust these seals. That is not popping. And I trust that I am wise enough that if something doesn't seem right, I won't eat it. We never ever want to take any shortcuts when it comes to pressure canning. Botulism is a neurotoxin, and it is very hard to counteract if you have it. So we want to be safe, and we want to follow the rules, and we want to be mindful. But for my part, I think this digital pressure canner is worth every penny. It is expensive, but I think it's going to be worth it. And I think it's really going to invite more and more people into home canning, home food preservation, and just open that door. Just bring all kinds of people in. And that makes me really excited. Comment down below and let me know if you have a digital canner. Do you have the Presto? Do you have one of the other brands? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I'd love to hear your comments and feedback, particularly if you have a different brand. I'd love to know what you think of yours and how this compares. If you have the digital canner from Presto, what do you love about it? What have you canned with it? I am excited to do a bunch of chicken. I have some frozen chicken that desperately needs to get put into jars, make space in my freezer, and it's been in there just long enough that I'm afraid of it getting freezer burned. So that's another project for this big canner. And it holds quite a lot. I mean, it can hold 6 to 8 pints. That's not nothing. So just the capacity for small scale canning makes me so excited. I hope you guys enjoyed this unboxing and walkthrough of how it works, how I've used it. I've only canned 2 batches of beans. I've got a second batch of beans getting ready to be canned. Really excited about all of that. And I just think that this is going to be opening the door so I can do even more canning. Come and visit me over on Instagram at sustainable_prepping. And until the next video, next Vlogmas video, y'all, happy prepping.